welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh. Today we're going to be working on the Subaru. So we're doing this slightly different, simply because I want to provide a good install video, and if I have to record it myself and do the install, it's going to be trash. So the guys at DNR Motors offered to be part of this. If you guys are in the Columbus area or pretty much anywhere in the United States and you need a great shop to do work for your vehicle, Subaru or otherwise, DNR Motors would be highly recommended. I will put their information in the description. Also, this video is sponsored by Adventure Rig Shop. You can get all the parts that you're going to see us install on the Subaru at Adventure Rig Shop. The link will be in the description for that as well. So let's get into the installation of the rock sliders. So the rock sliders we went with are from CA Tuned. You guys have probably heard that name before. The link for these specific sliders will be in the description. Now, the nice part about CA Tuned is the way they manufactured them and the way that they look. Obviously, that's a huge component. When you're doing anything on your vehicle that is modification related, you want it to look well. So I had what did I have? LP Adventure rock sliders previously, and I didn't love the way that they fastened and the way that they attached. They were super bomber, they were solid, no issues with them, but the new sliders are going to look much different in the way that they attach. So we're going to get this first side off, get all of these plastic pieces removed, get this side installed, and then on the next side, after we've got it all figured out, I'll be able to walk you through step by step how you can install it. All right, so here's a brief description of the tools that you're going to need. You're going to see us use these metal clip tools. You may have these or something similar to these. These will work just fine, but we have a 10 millimeter, then we have a 3/16 Allen key. Again, if you don't have the same as this and you're just using one of these, that is totally fine as well. I don't know what size this is. This is 5/32. That is this size. So we will be using these. We have an 8 millimeter wrench. And then one thing that I want to mention, we will show you how to install with this because this comes in your kit. This is a Riv Nut tool. If you've never used one of these do come in your kit. They look just like this, but we will prefer to use something like this. There are also ones that attach to a drill that you can use if you have one of those. If you do have one of those, do not put it on an impact because you will probably strip the threads. So we'll end up using these, but we will show you how this works. And this is your hardware. You will have Riv Nuts for the larger bolts with washers, and then you will have Riv Nuts for the smaller button head bolts without washers. These go on the side. These are the ones that go up under. This plastic piece is what I will show you. It covers the front just by the front tire. Because there's nothing there anymore, this plastic piece is what covers that. And that is all that you will receive. We do recommend that you put, also comes in your kit, a little bit of Loctite or thread locker on each of these, a little bit. You don't need a lot. You don't want to seize it up, but just put a little bit on each one before you finally tighten them down. This comes with the kit, so it should be there for you. That's all that you're going to need for the install part. Now we have the passenger side installed already. We will show you how to do the driver's side. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is kind of get everything prepped up. You have these 8 millimeter bolts that are holding your factory mud flap on. You got to take those off, and then underneath you have a 10 millimeter bolt that is right here, and I'll show you as I take it off, and that way you can get access to this plastic rocker panel or whatever you want to call it. And this is where you're going to need your 8 millimeter wrench. Just depending on your tire size, you may not have this issue, but my tires are a little bit bigger than factory, so in order for me to get back to this one, I need to get an 8 millimeter wrench. And both of those are off. You want to save these because you are going to need them to put all of this stuff back on. All right, underneath here, I'm trying to find it, you have your 10 millimeter that you got to remove.
Alright, and there's one more 8mm back here that you're going to need a small little socket wrench to get to, especially if you have bigger tires and you don't want to take your tires off because it's unnecessary.
Alright, so in order to get your rocker guard off this big plastic piece that runs the span of the entire car, you're going to need your clip tool. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 total clips underneath that release this panel, and then you'll be able to pry it off from the metal, or the clips that are inserted into the metal where your rock sliders are going to go. So I'm going to go underneath the car and get all of these removed, and then we can move on to removing the rocker panel from the body of the car.
That wasn't even anything? I really thought that was the lunch bell, Zook. Really thought that was the lunch bell.
Once you get those clips off, you can just reach your hands back there, and you can see that's all you have to do. That was actually impressive, and that works out, so that's why that worked. Now, here is where all of your Riv Nuts are going to go. So we're going to get those installed, and then we'll show you how to use the Riv Nut tool that comes with your kit. All right, so for the Riv Nuts, I wanted to just show you how to do it outside of the car because I think this is easier. So the way that this works is you thread your Riv Nut on, and then get it until it's tight. Tighten it up. This is a larger one, so you use a 14mm wrench here. You slide this into the hole, and that'll be into the hole of the vehicle. You put this on there, and then you take your 13mm for the big one, and you just start tightening it down. You hold it straight and square to the vehicle, and then you start tightening this down, and what happens is this Riv Nut compresses on itself, creating basically a bolt hole inside of the hole where there was no bolt. So that's how you use this. We are going to use this because it's a lot easier and much less of a pain, but if you don't have a tool like this, this will work. Alright, so you'll see the holes that align all the way across here. You're going to take your Riv Nuts and you're going to put those in there. Oh, that one's a little tight, but they're intentionally supposed to be tight. Just tap that in. And then you're going to follow that same procedure all the way down this section of the vehicle, all the way to the front, and then you can come back through and use whichever tool you prefer. I would not use power tools, and tighten these up, and then you'll be able to thread your bolts into these holes. As Matt finishes up the other couple that way, you'll see that you have these nice and flush on the metal of the car, and then once you get your rock slider put up, you'll be able to put your bolts directly through the holes in the rock slider that match these holes. On the underside, there are some larger Riv Nuts that we're going to install. I'll show you which holes you need to use to install those, but there are a series under the body as well. They go in just like this, but we will walk you through that too. Alright, so underneath the vehicle, you can see there are 5 holes that you remove the clips from, and that is exactly where the Riv Nuts go into. And once you get them installed, you can start putting your rocker up there and getting everything hand tight just to hold it in place until you tighten everything down. Alright, so obviously if you have 2 people for this step, it'll make your life a lot easier. But we're just putting a little bit of thread lock on them and then hand tightening them, not even tightening them. We're just threading them in a few threads to make sure everything holds before we go through and tighten everything down. You may have to apply some pressure in different areas to get the holes to line up perfectly, but for the most part it's a really snug fit and everything so far has gone together well. We started on the top and then we went down underneath and started putting them on the bottom. That just made it easier to get everything to kind of stay where we needed it. Now we're going to go through and tighten up all the bottoms, get everything dry fit before we tighten it down. So we had a couple of issues just getting these bolt holes to line up with the riv nuts. So what we did is we took a vice grip with a rag on it, attached it to the outside of the rock slider and the inside of your pinch weld, and just clamped it together. And that brought the rock slider down enough to get all of these installed perfectly. So if you're doing this by yourself, that's probably the best way to handle it. So this little plastic piece you get is what covers this top area. There's a cool little groove right here that goes into the metal, and then you can just snap it on. Of course, it never goes right perfect the first time, but now that that's on, that covers that exposed metal, and it ties everything in with the vehicle really well. I'm sure you could paint that if you wanted to make it a different color, but they do come black, and that is pretty much the last part. Now you have to go back through and install all of the 8 and 10 millimeter screws, and your installation is complete. All right, so that's the complete install of your CA-Tune rock sliders. The link is in the description if you guys want to purchase these directly. It's a very simple install. Another set of hands would be absolutely helpful, just to make things go quicker for you, but everything lined up fairly well. We did have to use the vice grips on the pinch weld that on both sides, just made things easier, and put them together. I mean, it's a pretty simple process, and they do look really, really well. Protects the pinch welds really well. Pretty excited about it, I'm gonna be honest. So if the video was helpful, share the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you come along for more adventures, and I will see you on the next one.